Survival is easy when it's the only thing on your mind. In Sons of the Forest, you'll go to an island to retrieve a lost billionaire. However, when you arrive, you'll learn quickly that there's more than a rich person on this island. Trapped there with these mutants and monsters, you'll have to traverse the place and look for anything and everything to help you survive. You can explore the entire island from the start, opening up many options for you and choices on how to survive. Also, the longer you play the game, the more the seasons will change. The Long Dark is a video game set in what is a personal nightmare for many people, being stranded in the icy confines of the Yukon after a plane crash with nothing but your wits to guide you. This game gives you nothing to begin with, you're purely on your own, but the story threads that pull you along and the brilliant survival mechanics make that early game more than worth it. In a genre filled with great survival stories, The Long Dark particularly stands out.
Freezing.
Ark 2, starring Vin Diesel, was recently announced, but that doesn't mean it dwells on the achievements of the first game. Ark Survival Evolved continues to evolve in meaningful and challenging ways as the sequel approaches, adding an updated version of the latest update, competitive survival of the fittest mode. Survival with a prehistoric slant, with plenty of content to guide you to the next game. A surprise hit of the pandemic-riddled era that was 2020, Valheim drops you and up to 9 friends in a brutal world inspired by Norse mythology. Together you must build shelter, make clothes, hunt for food, and survive against the harsh wilds. What's more, the game is procedurally generated, so no 2 playthroughs are ever the same. If you finished God of War Ragnarok, but still want some Norse in your life, Valheim should be on your list. One of the single greatest comebacks in video game history, No Man's Sky has grown from its much-maligned launch version into a vibrant community of space explorers who are all looking to find the game's next great planet. Hello Games makes routine updates to the game, adding more and more things to do and see with every new edition, and its growing player base speaks for itself. With literal millions of planets to explore and species to discover, No Man's Sky is a game that never delivers the same experience twice. Is the idea of surviving in harsh environments with limited resources not appealing enough to you? What if the environment was the home of one of the most storied IPs in the world? Conan Exiles takes the established Conan mythos and the monstrous creatures that reside within it and plops you right into the middle of it to fend for yourself. It's a game that requires patience and cunning, but once it flows, Conan Exiles is hard to put down. one of the most anticipated sequels of 2023, Sons of the Forest, a sequel to 2014's survival adventure that pits a lone plane crash survivor against hordes of mutant cannibals, was recently released. If you've never heard of The Forest, now is the time to rectify that and experience its horrific and terrific world. This is a game that will test your resolve like few others. Those mutants are terrifying, let's be real, but surviving an attack and living to see another day is exhilarating. If you want survival with a little horror on the side, journey into The Forest. Scour the internet for stories of DayZ gameplay sessions, and you'll find plenty that sound like plot points straight from The Walking Dead, brutality included. DayZ makes survival its only goal, and players are free to do so however they see fit, even if that means doing things they would never do in the real world. If you want a survival game that will leave you questioning your moral compass just as much as it leaves you entertained, DayZ is the one. Minecraft needs no introduction, being one of the most successful gaming brands on the entire planet, but as ballyhooed as its creative mode is, and rightly so, let's not forget its survival mode is also one of the best ways to play a survival game available today. It's simple, yet challenging, engaging without being frustrating, and rewarding if you devote enough time to it. Sometimes you just have to go back to basics, and for survival games that means Minecraft. One of the newest members of the survival genre, Grounded takes the format and throws a little honey. I shrunk the kids into the mix. Instead of defending yourself from mythic beasts or unknown wilds, you're facing off against bugs crawling around your backyard. Arachnophobes might have trouble with this one, but Grounded's unique approach to the survival game keeps us coming back for more. As with Grounded, we love when a game takes an established format into a new arena, and Subnautica executes this perfectly with its underwater survival setting. There's something extra harrowing about being forced to swim away from a major threat rather than running, as underwater you know you're in their domain, they're not in yours. The follow-up Subnautica Below Zero is also a worthy choice, a game which takes the previous idea and adds the Arctic and its freezing temperatures, but the original still holds up incredibly well. Green Hell grabs the low-hanging fruit among survival games and places the player smack dab in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. The place is known for its dizzying humidity and hostile locals, whether animals, plants, or humans, and the game will let players know that one way or another. It's best known as a rainforest simulator, especially if players crank up the difficulty level to how the developers intended. players will need to attend to insect bites, numerous kinds of poison, and other jungle illnesses to find their missing wife in the story mode, or perhaps last as long as they can in the sandbox mode. It might not look as involved or as shocking as first-person zombie games due to the top-down, isometric perspective, but Project Zomboid can be more nerve-wracking. It's one of the toughest survival games out there due to the steep learning curve and the less forgiving enemies. Project Zomboid places a stalwart focus on realism and the sandbox nature of its world. The zombies also don't run, but they do come in frightening swarms that will punish any small mistake or indecision on the player's part. On top of that, players also have to deal with depression and boredom on top of their physiological needs. Much like Project Zomboid, 7 Days to Die is a definitive zombie survival experience, where players can roam around and create their own survival stories. Interestingly, it was released on early access at the same time as Project Zomboid. The difference is, 7 Days to Die presents a more intimate view of zombie slaughter. Thus it has more pronounced horror elements and the zombies look more visceral and distinct. Players can also craft some rather ridiculous melee weapons and try to MacGyver their way into survival, though that won't make the experience any less intimidating. Rust is one of the oldest and most popular survival games that started as an early access title. It's now at its best state, and while the graphics and general gameplay have improved, the players remain mostly the same. Most are armchair social Darwinists and Machiavellians who wouldn't hesitate to shoot a kind stranger in the back if that meant a bit more loot for them. To that end, Rust fosters and rewards every kind of playstyle, be it hiding from social contact to piling up bodies in order to make a throne. The tribal mentality is rampant among players, and there's a high-risk, high-reward element in the form of rare loot. Arguably, this makes the game a lot of fun.